Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Super Reality Fam podcast. Today, me and Sean will be covering episodes 2 and 3 of Australian Survivor, and I think we'll probably do a little bit of a review of like the whole past week, and yeah. What?
It's been a lot. It's been a long week.
It's been a lot. So yeah, let's get into it. So we'll start with episode 2.
Yeah, I feel like episode 2 is going to be pretty quick compared to episode 3. I feel like all our hot takes are going to be on episode 3.
Yeah, we have some different takes.
Yeah, there's going to be there's going to be blood, sweat, and tears on this podcast. We're going to have an argument.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, to start off episode 2, first off, fire without Flint, a first for Australian Survivor.
It's about bloody time.
Yeah, I know.
Why does it take us so long?
Yeah, you'd think Australia, well, I mean, our whole country, again.
You almost went there.
That's not
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I thought Australians would be good at making fire because we're more like outback, but I guess not on Survivor until now.
I mean, it was only, it was 3 days they went without.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've definitely seen seasons where they've gone much longer without.
Yeah.
Flint.
There was one recently where they had to give up quite a lot of stuff for Flint, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly which tribe, but it happened.
Yeah, some of us they did. Yeah. And season 2 of Australian Survivor, I remember them having absolutely nothing for ages, pretty sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've definitely waited a lot longer than 3 days.
Yeah.
But you think that if they won immunity, they'd get a Flint?
Yeah, usually that's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, it was strange that. So the losing tribe, they won reward, they got the Flint, and then they lost immunity, went to tribal.
And didn't get
They got fire anyway. So do you want to win immunity in that case?
Yeah.
Or 12 people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they figured it out, so good on them.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
So that was David and Lockie that did that, hey? That was David and Lockie that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. But before that, the Rascals Alliance.
Yes, and Shani and her Dalmatian story. I love her. Great content for Shani. Hopefully that's good things for her. Hopefully she's going to go far.
Yeah.
I feel like
plenty of content.
Yeah, I know. They're really making up for it. I wonder if JLP's all his tweets actually, somehow influence the editors a bit.
Surely. Yeah, so Nick, Harry, Shani. Where does this rank in greatest alliances of all time?
Oh, they're just the little kids at the back of your class that are just chatting and doing their own thing, but it's great. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I agree. I am so excited to see it happen. But yeah, that's almost all we really saw from the Makuta tribe this episode.
Yeah, we didn't really see a lot from them.
No, which, I mean, they didn't go to tribal, so that makes sense, but it was definitely, and next episode as well, definitely very heavily focused on the Vakama tribe.
They didn't win reward either.
No, it was a strange one. So this challenge that we go to, the wrestling one.
Yes. Oh, brutal.
For a reward. What?
Yes. Coffee. Just coffee.
No, that was the next one, I think.
Oh,
this
really?
one was for the shopping.
Oh, no, yeah, the shop. Yeah. Okay. I mean,
which they don't even know what it is, and they're expected to wrestle, break their body for.
Yeah, nah.
Oh my god.
Look, it was very intense to watch, and it definitely had me on the edge of my seat. But
I was cringing at the same time, though. I was terrified for them.
Oh, Phoebe getting like rolled off the edge of that platform by Abby, like literally bending her neck like in half. That looked, that couldn't have been nice. And
because you saw something on Reddit, didn't you, about
like
Facebook or something?
Stuff. Like Zach, I think, posted on his Instagram about how he didn't exactly tear his MCL, but something happened to it. He got some sort of like injury through it. Phoebe like ended up having fractures in her neck and like her knee.
Because she's had knee trouble, so
and I don't think
when she got back.
Yeah. So she had to play the whole rest of the game with that, which is pretty horrible.
All for a shopping trip.
No, and honestly, like even a few of the shots, like right after that challenge, you'd see like Lockie with scratches all over him, like people with bruises on their bodies. Like you really don't see that in US Survivor. Definitely not anymore. And I think that's not necessarily the worst thing for people to not get seriously injured.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy those kind of challenges once in a while, but this is the second, but like there's been so many just wrestling, like rough and tumble types of challenges. And, you know, someone like a Shane Gould, if she was still there, you know, some of these smaller women who, maybe some of the more beta players, they're screwed.
I know.
Like, how is Shani meant to go up against Lydia?
Well,
how is Nick meant to go up against, like, Lee and David and, I just don't... Yeah. It's not very, I don't know, diverse. It's just one skill set that's handy for a lot of people. And I wonder if they do this at the start so they keep more of the alpha players, the big players who are more likely to be, you know, the big burly men, and try to make some of that dynamic gameplay happen. But I don't know if I want to see just that. I want to see all of it. I want to see the puzzles. I want to see the smarts, you know?
That's a good point that can't believe I'm saying this, but where are the puzzles? Like, where are the equalizers? I mean,
exactly.
I do like that the challenges are like tougher and you can actually see people struggling more than the seasons, but look, not to the point where they're getting injured, like coming out with actual like...
Lee has creme brulee on his knee.
Huh?
Lee has creme brulee on his knees.
Custard arms, parcel died.
And it's hard because the last two Champions vs Contender seasons we've seen just a complete annihilation of the women before the merge. And we get to the merge and it's super dude heavy. And that's because of these challenges.
Yeah. And even,
heavily lenient towards the men. Like it's that kind of alpha play style. I don't know, I feel like it just changes a lot about the game that I don't know if we want that.
Yeah, last season it really wasn't great how pretty much like all of the contender women other than Daisy, barely any confessionals. Like Sam got voted out without a single confessional, which is a new record for Survivor. Not a good one.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And even this season, I think there's only a few players that haven't gotten confessionals yet, and that's Abby, John. Lee got one in episode 3.
Yeah, I think it's just Abby, John, and Flick now.
Yeah, and Moana, I'm not sure if she's gotten one.
She got one. That was like one sentence.
It's definitely a bit skewed. Like, if you look at the confessional charts right now, the top 5 are pretty much all men. Yeah. And there's one woman, I think Phoebe, that might be up there, and that's it. And that's not the best.
Yeah, so, I mean, hopefully it is the first week, so maybe moving forward we'll have more diverse confessional counts, gameplay, stuff like that.
It's too soon to tell, but look, it could be a bit more even than it is even now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like all the big things have happened around, like Henry with the idol, Matt and David, obviously. So I mean, I can understand it, but
yeah,
I guess we'll see how it goes.
mm.
So with the shop, what did you think?
Well, I was a bit worried for Phoebe and Lockie because the fact that it's a reward and only 2 people from their tribe get to go on it at when the tribes are still split, it's not even individual immunity phase where one person wins the reward and brings 2 people. I think that when I saw them walking off, I was just thinking like, oh, is this going to be a big target on their backs, And then the fact that they have to make all these decisions, it almost was like a reward that's like one of those moral conundrums that they like to throw in.
Yeah.
So is it that much of a reward for them? I thought it could have some bad repercussions.
Yeah, I think they handled it as best as they could have, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. I was worried for the same reasons you were when they just said 2 people. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised when Phoebe said, I want to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the things they picked were the right things to pick. And I think when they got back to camp, they did all the right things. I think especially telling the whole tribe about the reward steal.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like that took pretty much all the heat off of them. Because that was, something that normally you kind of think they keep to themselves. But their real thing was the jar of cookies.
Yeah.
And I think, they maximized that really well and used it to really bond the alliance together. Because I feel like if you're on Survivor, not that I know, but if someone brought a jar of cookies and you're starving, you're going to be magnetized to that person and it's really going to bond you closer together. So I think it's really a smart decision on their part. And for Phoebe to let Lockie do all the talking and try and suss out the lying part, I think she played that super, super well.
I think, Phoebe's done well. And I mean, with the cookies, it literally is a winning strategy. We've seen Jericho do it. And
tried and tested.
It's largely in part because of how he used the cookies to his advantage. So it's a tried and true strategy, and it seemed to work really well for them, and it established an alliance. Very unfortunately, to Jericho's demise.
Really ironic.
Yeah.
With the shop, though, do you think they put the margaritas there just so Shani would go and get a margie? Do you think that was what they were going for?
Maybe. I mean, we know that she loves them.
It's like, I want to see that now.
Yeah. Oh, we could use more Shani content.
Honestly, give us all the content.
Yeah, you can't get enough of her. She's great.
Just pure gold, pure gold. And then I think after that we went to the immunity challenge, which obviously Makuta won again. And it looked like they were pretty unimpressed with Moana. Does Moana want to be there? I am unsure if she's just chilling or if she's just genuinely like depressed.
Yeah, she's either not gotten a good at it at all, or she just seems to really regret having decided to come on All Stars.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's kind of giving me flashbacks to her first season where she got really sick and, it was that same kind of vibe. She sort of like went back into a bit of a shell, like withdrew from the game and sort of just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And that was really sad to see the first time because while she was there, I thought she was playing a pretty good game and had good potential to go far and make moves. She got Russell out. She saw through his bullshit, which was, amazing.
Yeah.
Props to that. But I don't know. I did see on Instagram someone asked her about it and she replied saying, something along the lines of, well, don't believe everything the edit says. It doesn't always show everything. The good things are still yet to come. So perhaps something more is going to happen. Obviously,
I think I'm get sick again.
Yeah, I know.
What if she's like allergic to coconuts and she just doesn't know it?
Yeah, who knows? Or I mean, I was listening to the Brink of Reality podcast by Ryan Brink, which is a really good podcast, by the way. And he said in the times that he's met Moana, she does seem more introverted. So it could just be, you know, that's sort of what her personality is. She's withdrawn a bit. I do think it might be a bit intimidating, like going back into the game the second time around, all these people that are suddenly playing so much more strategically than your first season, and realizing like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be like.
Yeah,
and just, maybe she's kind of playing it a bit safe and just staying a bit on the down low. Who knows? Honestly, we haven't seen enough of her to really tell, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen some of her quips, like saying to David and Henry, being like, "Do you guys want a coffee with that chat?" You know, so like she has a dry sense of humor that maybe doesn't translate to TV as much as someone like a David or things like that. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see more of her.
I do love her comments. I think I love her sense of humor.
yeah, she's hilarious.
Yeah.
So we get back to camp, and Daisy straight up says they want to target Moana because she's not performing in challenges. And David says they want to go down the line to Jericho. So they think Matt has an idol at this point?
Yeah.
So do you think...
that was the concern, I guess. That's why they didn't just vote straight for Matt. Do you think that, you know, their tribe, seeing that Shane, a winner, was voted out from the opposing tribe, the last tribal council, do you think that sort of set the precedent for them to go, well, they've got rid of their winner, maybe we should get rid of ours?
I mean, it would have crossed their mind for sure. But I think Jericho and Shane are two very different winners.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Shane, you know that you have to, like, drag her through the challenges. Like, can you imagine her doing that wrestling reward?
No.
But Jericho, he can kind of hold his own in those things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and they did play two completely different games. You know, Jericho was more out there. Shane was a bit more quiet. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they needed to do it if they were doing it just to get rid of a winner. Yeah. I don't know if they would have done it that early. I mean, it certainly sets a precedent, but I mean, he's a free shield, you know? Yeah. It's 23 players left. You still have a lot of game left. You know, when it comes to a swap or something, you know, he's the biggest shield out there. He's the only winner left. So
very true. You know what, I was kind of
give him traction. So
what I was surprised by was that David was the one to throw Jericho's name out there. And you know, considering that both of them have been really close allies with Luke, I would have thought that they would stick together, or that mutual friend might kind of like help them form a bit of an alliance or a bit of connection. And I thought for Jericho, if he had managed to team up with David, he could probably employ the same strategy he did the first time he won in using Luke as a shield. He's got David here, who's not obviously the exact same sort of archetype, but kind of fills that like big threat, like out there player sort of role for him to hide behind. And I almost think maybe David, you know, having played with Luke, having probably known about Luke and Jericho's relationship, could have sort of pieced it together that if he did get close to Jericho, he could have, you know, kind of fallen the same way that Luke did and helped Jericho to the win again. So maybe he wanted to sort of prevent that. And that was why he kind of wanted to throw his name out there.
Yeah, nailed that. Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't find all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did say on his exit interview that he did talk to David about the Luke thing, and then David apparently just kind of like really sussed him out from the go. But Jericho didn't want to make it seem obvious to the others that they were working together because of Luke.
But yeah,
it's a pretty big concern. But maybe he just put the brakes on too much.
I think David from what Jericho said, it sounded like David made it a bit clear that him and Jericho weren't really going to work together. So Jericho probably knew that wasn't exactly the best avenue for him to go with.
Yeah. But, I mean, what else could have Jericho done here?
Yeah, I honestly don't think he necessarily did anything wrong. I think perhaps when he saw the majority group leaving and he was kind of like, well, I'm just going to eat rice. Maybe he could have followed them, you know, like he ran up to AK and Phoebe when they were talking to Matt and he was like, boo, you know, that's Jericho get away with doing that, you know. I think he could have followed that group and been like, oh, what are you guys up to? And, you know, sort of like inserted himself possibly, and if he was there all the time, maybe they wouldn't have been able to throw his name out there as easily, and that could have helped him. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think there was too much else he could have done. Like, it wasn't a unanimous vote. He had people on his side. Same thing with Shane. Like, I think they had a massive target as previous winners, and they did what they could to swing as many votes as they could, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. Yeah,
it's just the irony of the Cookie Monster getting bundled out by a jar of cookies.
Oh, it was tragic. Get one. And honestly, he delivered. Like, for the time he was there, the
very
years.
His Suki Lala at Tribal Council.
Yeah.
He later said that was real. A little bit, tears. Do you think that was convincing? Were you convinced at it?
Honestly, I was a bit confused when he started doing that. I kind of thought, what is he upset? Like, what does he think the plan is exactly? I didn't know, because I thought, look, you know that most of these players now, they are so much more strategic than the players you played with the first time.
Yeah.
The majority of them, I don't think are going to be so swayed by emotions. So,
especially AK and Phoebe.
Yeah, look, it was great acting, but even if it was genuine, I don't think it would have made much of a difference.
Yeah. But I mean, he just had to throw everything at the wall.
Yeah, exactly. He really did, you know, try everything he could. So props to him. I love Jericho. I thought he was a great winner. I was rooting for him to win the first time round. I wish he could have stayed longer because he's so entertaining. And honestly, some of the stuff he comes up with is
it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was episode 2. Who do you think was the best player in this episode? Who's your best and worst?
Okay, now you've put me on the spot. Best? I'd say Phoebe did pretty well. Look, I think good on her for not flipping. I do think, you know, sticking with the young, attractive people alliance according to AK was the best for her. Like, if she flipped, she would have been flipping to the bottom of Matt Rogers.
Yeah.
At least with her current alliance, she's got the 3 with Brooke and Flick. She's got something going with AK. She's got, like, seems to have a good friendship with Lockie after the reward, and assuming they're going to both go on a reward later on together as well, that'll only help them build, you know, that relationship a bit more. So I think she's in a really good position, and I think she made the right choice.
Okay. Worst player. Yeah. What about worst player?
Well, because we didn't really get to see much of the other tribe, I think I'm going to have to keep with someone on Makuta, is it? Yellow tribe? Probably.
No way, that's Vakama, I think.
Oh,
yellow.
Vakama is yellow. Okay. They don't say the names enough for it to have stuck.
Yeah, true. They don't.
They just go green and yellow. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to say Moana. It just doesn't seem like she's really integrated herself well or tried to socially, like, you know, get to know the other players or, you know, made herself seem approachable. And being the first name to be thrown out there is never a good sign. So, yeah. I do love her as a character, and I do still think she has potential to be a good player. I just think right now she hasn't really gotten the best start. Yeah. What about you?
Well, great minds think alike.
Oh,
I have Phoebe as well as the best player of the week. I think what she did with the reward, she really maximised it as best she could, letting Lockie take the fall for any potential slip-ups. And then also playing the middle with AK. Even though her alliance knew that they were solid and that was a plan, she still gave herself the option, even if shit hits the fan, because she knew that it was moving fast. That her and AK still had the option to jump ship if need be. Obviously, maybe they weren't as happy with her the next episode, but I think that her being so close with Jericho as well, she didn't really have that much of a choice, but she played it super, super well. And yeah, even though, she broke her body.
Yeah. Oh, she got
the rest
wrecked.
Was really good. Yeah, she got wrecked.
Yeah.
And worse, I think Moana as well. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, there wasn't one definitively horrible player because we didn't see a lot of everyone's gameplay because it's still pretty numbers based. But if because they thought Mo was going home.
Yeah.
What did we see of them trying to change that apart from trying to bring in Phoebe and AK? We didn't see her scrambling much. But of course that could just be the editing, and just her challenge performance, she's got a target on her back and that's not a good spot to be on day 4.
I know. Well, guess we'll see if she manages to pull something out later on. I mean, now with this thing with Matt and David, perhaps she has a bit more power, a bit more playing room.
Maybe.
I'll have to see next week.
So that was episode 2.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good episode, but
it was a solid
comparison to
episode 3. The best tribal ever.
Was it the best tribal ever?
According to the Australian promos, which we all know is very reliable.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, look at how soon Big Move panned out.
Still waiting. It's been 4 years. We can't make that joke again now. That's it. That's done.
Yeah. It's not like we've never had it before.
No, never. Completely original.
Yeah.
So did you think it was the best tribal ever?
I thought it was pretty great. I feel like part of what makes it great, but also maybe not so great, is how early on it happened and how crazy the strategy has gotten just in the first 3 episodes. In Australian Survivor.
It's a lot.
American Survivor, sure. But Australian Survivor has always been known to be a bit slow to start off, everyone's kind of just establishing their relationships, getting to know each other, voting off the weak target. So this was pretty crazy. I definitely loved watching it.
It was great to watch. I don't know about the best tribal ever, apart from obviously 2 idols. And the whole everything that was happening. I don't know if the tribal itself was the best tribal. I would say the best lead up to a tribal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think back to, Benji saying to Sean, play it. You can't, that was great. Pure chaos. You can't get better than that.
That was an amazing moment. I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. But certainly the hype was lived up.
Yeah.
Incredible episode, so I'm sure we'll get into it.
And I mean, there were still a lot of great things that happened during the tribal. I think it is quite different to the Benji play in that Benji thought of that in the moment and created all that chaos in the moment, whereas this tribal was a lot more
calculated.
Yeah, it was calculated. It all these pieces had to sort of fall into place. So I don't know. I really appreciated that. I do have respect for David and Matt for how they played that. the move in itself I thought was great. I see flaws with the strategy and like the long-term planning, but I also see a lot of benefits to the move.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into that.
We'll get into
that. But anyway, before we get into that, the start of the episode, when are we going to get a spin-off of AK as actual Osher on The Bachelorette?
Oh my God. Lockie could be a bachelor.
Maybe, look, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I could see him tomorrow getting cast on The Bachelor, and I'm sure all the women would go crazy for him.
Yeah, him or Henry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even
that was
David maybe he's a bit too villainous, but
maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we saw Lee's creme brulee knees.
Yeah.
And Michelle's face was everything in that. She just looked like she would rather be absolutely anywhere else in the world than looking at Lee's crusty knees.
Oh.
But yeah, poor things.
I know. Oh, I love the nickname he got, Custard Castle Side.
Why wasn't the footage of him getting hit in the head with the ball included in the challenge? That's what I want to know.
I know. What did you think of him getting the dodo music? Compared to like
like season 1 when he was a god.
Yeah, like
I think he just unpunked it.
Yeah, he was the Lockie back then, and now he's like, I've heard comparisons of him to Colby in US Survivor. How, you know, he started off as like America's hero, and then, you know, All Stars kind of got voted out early, and then Heroes versus Villains turns into Batman in a fat suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just really slow progression that just didn't end up well.
Heading down the same kind of path.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's early days.
Yeah.
But I'm really liking what Lee's putting out there so far. I think his confessional saying, yes, I understand the game a lot more now. I will do everything I can to protect my lines, but, you know, I'm okay with lying. I'm okay with manipulating, and I'm not going to make excuses for it and say that it's mateship or anything. I think that's a lot of self-awareness, and he's definitely learned from the drilling he got in his first season. So, yeah, and I really love how him and Sean got together. I think they can definitely relate as maybe the two that probably should have won their seasons but didn't. And Sean's confessional was beautiful.
I love, it was great.
It's so rare to see it when like someone gets so emotional. You rarely see that kind of after toll that it takes, especially for her being so close and frankly robbed. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting couple. Maybe there's a 3 with John there. It's not sure.
Yeah.
But could we see Sean getting revenge on Matt later? Do you think that's a possibility?
That would be an interesting plotline. And they did, you know, flash back to Matt's vote. So it could be setting up for that, reminding us viewers of, you know, how robbed her of the win.
Will there be a vote not based on revenge this season?
Who knows? I mean, even David's revenge on Daisy was a bit of a reach.
Yeah, one of, 10 people that vote, 9 people that vote.
But, I thought that Sean's confessional about being the losing finalist was so raw and honest, and you could really feel the emotion. And I thought that was a really cool thing for Australian Survivor to have included in there, especially considering how you often see a lot of, you know, the people who make it far but don't exactly make it, such as, say, like Baden or, you know, Gavin and E get a bit under-edited so that you don't feel as bad when they lose. And, it was really interesting seeing her perspective on it and, getting to feel how she feels through the edit and, actually having the show sympathize with her like that.
Yeah, it was really just my heart really went out for her because you can see just how much it means to her, and it looks like she's keen to go one further this time, which is
exactly
good. So yeah, I think Sean and Lee could be a bit of a power couple there.
Yeah, and I think they made sort of the same kinds of mistakes that cost them in the final tribal council, just not owning their moves, just not admitting to the fact that they were disloyal, but they needed to do that to win, and that's Survivor.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll, turn it around this time.
Maybe. And and then we start to see Matt really taking charge of the minority alliance at Vakama, and others just kind of butting up to him and saying, please help us. We're screwed. Like work some magic. Yeah. And he goes over to David. Do you like this move?
Look, I think when you're on the bottom like that, you got to do everything you can to. I think a mistake that people often make is kind of just sitting down, accepting defeat, and thinking, well, I'm going to be voted out. There's nothing else left for me to do. I'm just going to accept it. I think, you're dealing with people. Like, people are unpredictable. People, aren't set in stone. There's always a chance that you could, worm your way in somehow, and good on him for trying. And really interesting that he decided to, go to the perceived leader of their alliance. And I think the way that him and David both approached it was really smart in terms of like Survivor strategy, in that they both played to tried to convince the other of like why helping each other was going to be good for their own benefits, which is a mistake that a lot of people make. They try to convince people why them siding with each other is going to be good for you when you're talking to someone, that they forget to tell the person that they're talking to why it's also a good move for them. And I think they both approached it in a really good way where, they know they're the threats, they know they can protect each other, they know they need each other in the game. And something interesting that I saw people discussing online was the fact that David, Matt, Henry, and Phoebe were placed in the same location pre-game.
Yeah.
That shoot together for all the pre-season promotion.
Yeah.
So maybe there was already a bit of a relationship formed before the game.
Yeah.
That helped Matt think, I know David. I know how to approach him. Maybe he'll be willing to work with me. And same with Henry handing over the idol to Matt. Perhaps there was already a bit of a relationship brewing there that helped them know that they could work with each other.
Yeah. No, I agree. Co-sign everything you just said there. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think Matt obviously has nothing to lose. He's in the bottom. He's just going to try everything. I'm just racking my brains trying to think of when we've seen two opposing alliance leaders work together in secret. Has it happened before? I mean, I'm sure that at some point, but I can't think of any.
Oh, I know. Okay, maybe not the exact sort of situation, but, David and Luke have talked about how in the last season, they sort of tried to make it seem like to other people that they weren't as close as they were, even though it was pretty obvious how close they were. But, they'd kind of like shit talk each other behind their backs and say, no way I'm taking David to the end. Like, I don't trust him at all. I'll throw him under the bus. But then, actually secretly working together, although it wasn't as secret in the last season. Yeah. So I think maybe, David has had experience kind of trying to play this sort of strategy, and this time he's come back and improved it some more, and maybe he has a better chance of making it work with Matt.
Yeah, I like it. I think it works very well for Matt. I think the risk lies with David. I think David has the potential to get burned. We'll talk more about that later. Yeah, I think it was really interesting, definitely unexpected. But I mean, Matt, he had a confessional where he said, right now my trust is solely my alliance, nowhere else. But if Dave wants to come up to me and suggest his plan, then, he'll go along with it. So it sounds like he's not loyal to Dave, but he's just kind of using him, which I think is probably smart.
Yeah.
Can't really trust him fully yet. So we'll see how that relationship develops over time and if they still continue to work together and how that goes. I'm very interested to see what happens out of that. And yeah, so we go to the reward challenge. Again, 3 big sections for coffee.
Yeah, no, okay. That was the most, I think in one of the US seasons, there was a reward where the contestants refused to play because it was, just not worth it because it was, a few cans of beer or something. But if I was told to roll around this massive bowl and fight people and get thrown in the water for, a few jugs of coffee...
No, wait, this is the one before with the 3 sections. With the puzzle
I'm the challenges jumbled. I mean, okay, even that.
Yeah, but still, it's just coffee, and there's no donuts, there's no croissants. Where's the Danishes?
I'd be
if they just drink coffee, they'll just be shit themselves. It's not a good island diet.
Honestly, I just want to save my strength through immunity.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to read out JLP's Instagram post that he made about this challenge because it's a lot.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen this.
With all the hype about that tribal, let's not forget Lockie's sterling effort in the challenge, taking nut after nut for his tribe. If only he could have held his load a little bit longer.
Oh my god. Oh, okay, now I remember what the challenge was. Yeah.
Yeah, with a coconut.
Put it back. Yeah, Lockie swinging the sack around, making it very hard to get a nut in.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's too much.
That was great.
I did notice one thing though. There was not a single woman participating in this challenge. Not one.
Yeah.
Even on the puzzle, Henry and was it Nick? No, Henry and John maybe. No, Henry and Lee were on the puzzle for Makuta, and then Lockie and AK were on the puzzle for Bakama. Why don't they just make it one dude, one chick? I don't understand.
It is very strength. Even though it was a puzzle, and then you got to chuck the sandbags at it and knock it down. And those big pieces, you got to throw them hard. So yeah, you're right. They are very strength, alpha male oriented kind of challenges, which maybe says a bit something about Australia. I know Australia is very sport oriented.
Yeah.
I think the producers probably think our audience is going to be a lot more entertained by people being active and doing things like that than trying to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, you only need to look at the Facebook comment section to confirm that.
Although to be fair, I have thought a lot of these challenges, despite being so physical and strength oriented, there has been a sort of aspect of strategy to them. For example, Daisy, getting Lydia out and then just pushing everyone off of the puzzle in the previous challenge, and instead of just brute forcing it. And even Henry and Lee, instead of just finishing the puzzle and rushing back to start throwing, they move the puzzle to the back of the table.
Yeah.
And that, I think that definitely helped them. I mean, most of the time in those challenges, you see one block being stuck in the middle of the table and they're struggling to get it down because it's so far. And so that was really smart.
And then Lockie swinging his sack. I don't think I've seen that before. That was really smart. So
I don't know, and that's great to see. I think it doesn't all have to be strength, The players are putting their own strategy into it, despite how like brute force these challenges seem to be. So yeah, maybe the producers should trust them more to be able to come up with their own like little strategies and be able to actually make strategic challenges entertaining.
I agree with that. For sure. Because there was a puzzle element to this one.
Yeah.
It was the middle challenge. Do you think they played it and they just didn't show it?
Yeah, I think there was talk about.
There was the wall with like the holes and you had to like get the pulleys, and I assume it was like the ball one, you get to the top. But they just kind of skipped that and went straight to the nut sack one. So I wonder if Vakama ended up winning that. Sorry, Makuta ended up winning that. Wait, who won that one?
Yeah, I think they lost.
Makuta.
Yeah, it would have just been like best of 3 and.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have.
Interesting. Maybe they just ran out of time. But yeah.
Yeah.
So the coffee, they get back to camp with the magazines.
The magazine. Oh.
I thought this was awesome. What
really?
about you?
Okay. I feel like we're going to disagree on this. You go.
I mean, okay, well, I think it was cool, but I also think that the production kind of screwed some of the players over.
Yeah.
Like Harry, Nick, they got very negatively biased covers, but people like Sean, who's an elite strategist, got a poop idol cover.
Yeah, Shawnee.
Yeah, Sean even like holidayed, but didn't slide through the minority like an absolute boss for 47 days.
Yeah.
I definitely think that was a bit tricky. And Harry's definitely vocalized that he's a huge target, and I think everyone's kind of latched onto him, which is not good. And then Zach's cover.
Oh.
How they included one confessional saying he's improved his social game, and then he just calls it as it is. And Abby's rolling her eyes.
Oh, yeah, no, Shawnee just having PTSD flashbacks.
Just like,
yeah, no, I think, look, Nick has been doing so well, sliding a bit under the radar, playing a much more social game and not making the same mistakes. And then they just go and call him out for how much of a snake he was supposedly being in the first season. I think it could negatively damage someone's game, and putting Harry on the cover like that, especially since, most of the tribe haven't seen the rest of his season. So, it really doesn't help them maintain, everyone's perceptions of them, and say, like, especially in Nick's case, he's trying to play a completely different game. He's trying to manage his threat level. He's trying to manage other people's perception of him, and, trying to be a different character and a different player and employ a different strategy. And he was doing a really good job at that. And it's completely not his fault at all that it's being brought to everyone's attention that perhaps he might have, another game plan in his head. And I think that was a bit unfair. And obviously we don't know if anything that is going to come out of it yet, but it did feel a bit too like production interference to me that I thought we could have done without it, especially since it was a bit like random which characters or which players got negative things and which players got positive things sent at them. I mean, and that's completely out of their control. So
I mean, with Nick's case as well, their version of his being a snake is just what everyone else was doing, from every season onwards. So I think he has that on his side. That everyone kind of knows that his season was just slow to get off the starting block.
Yeah.
But my favorite part was when he was like, I made up this poem. How does it go? Like he hasn't thought about it every day since.
And you know what? I think he did really well bringing that up, you know? He's like, oh, haha, look how stupid I was. I totally had no idea what I was doing. Like,
Yes,
minimizing that threat level again, you know, trying to do a bit of damage control for that magazine, just blasting him.
He really did. But I'm super impressed with what he's been doing with what limited stuff we've seen from Makuta. It looks like Nick's doing super well. So,
yeah,
it's good for that. And then that's pretty much all for Makuta because we head back to Vakama where shit hits the storm.
Oh.
Yeah, David and Matt get up during the night. Also, by the way, have you seen the Snoring Symphony on 10 Play?
No. What?
Oh, you need to. It is great. It's from last episode, Jericho and Flick. Just everyone snores and it's pretty funny. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go on 10 Play and check it out.
I'll have to check it out.
Because it's good. But yeah, so David and Matt get up in the night, go and have a chat. Matt says he has access to an idol tomorrow, and David says that he wants Daisy out for past ills.
Oh.
Has David always been this petty?
Look, I think he just wants to be entertaining. I think he'll always prioritize the entertaining, flashy move over being passive and safe. Yeah. And as Daisy put it, the long game.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's so hard because, like, I just can't see him getting anywhere close to the end if he keeps doing this kind of stuff. It's not a winning strategy.
That's a very valid concern. I do think, though, while this is a massive, massive move for David, especially this early on, he's definitely done it in a way where he hasn't, put himself up as that much of a massive threat in everyone's eyes. It does put a lot of power in Matt's hands, and, Matt could completely turn around and blow up David's game tomorrow or, next episode or at the swap or at the merge. But I don't know. I think with what we were talking about before, how they're both playing to each other's benefits. Say Matt didn't go along with David's plan and he flipped on David. That buys him, one vote. And the next tribal council, the majority alliance is only going to be stronger for it without, David the snake trying to cause chaos within their alliance, and they're just going to be targeting Matt's alliance again. So I think, it was in his own best interest to help David out and to work with David, and I think David probably considered that and knew that, and that's why, while it was a big risk, I think it was still a calculated enough risk that it could pan out better for him than some of his other big flashy moves.
I mean, in terms of the execution of the move, it was incredible to watch. It was just so perfectly done. David just did such an incredible job of manipulating the whole tribe to do exactly what he wanted. He had so many balls in the air and he managed to juggle all of them perfectly. The move itself, though, if this was the merge tribe and there was no other tribe and we were down to the final 11, I would be like, yep, bravo. But it's day 7. We're not even past the first week. I just don't. 7. I understand that
episode 3.
Yeah, him and Daisy have history, and I know that there was never that full trust between them. But Daisy's not the kind of player that can go rouse up a huge, blindside against David.
It's true.
And I just think that by doing this move, he's just put so much power in Matt's hands. Matt can now hold this over his head for the rest of the game. He's gotten rid of the target he wanted, but was he thinking about that from a smart perspective, was he only getting Daisy out because for revenge? Or should he have gone for a bigger target, someone like a Phoebe or an AK or something like that, if he was really going to pull that trigger? I don't know. And then the whole idol thing, I mean, it's obviously everyone has different opinions, but he said in a confessional that he doesn't want that idol in someone else's hands. He wants it back out there and play. But it's in his main ally's hands. Him and Brooke at this point are very tight. She's demonstrated that she will play it for him. So I don't understand why he wants it out in play where someone from an opposing alliance can use it to get him out. Because the chances of him getting it is 1 in 10.
Yeah.
And he's never found an idol in the jungle before. He's only got other people. So that's probably one of the main qualms I have about this move, apart from the fact that it's day freaking 7. But I just think that Brooke's going to go back with a lot of mistrust. I think the whole alliance is going to be looking at like, David, why are you so dodgy? You know, like.
Do you think they bought his act?
Well, I guess we'll have to see, but
yeah,
I think that I've heard from like them Instagram lives and stuff like that, there was just a weird energy around the camp. Phoebe said that she knew something was up, but she didn't know what was up. And Daisy's saying, David was being really unlike himself, being really dodgy because he's normally so confident. So that they're all smart enough players that they'll cotton on, and especially if they try to coax something out of Matt, or Matt needs to, increase his foothold in the tribe a bit more. He'll throw David under that bus, run him over, reverse. He'll do everything he has to make sure him and his alliance is safe, and David could be a scapegoat for that.
That's very valid, and I think that is a massive risk that he's taking.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Matt, for anyone who's watched his season that he played first, you can see that he's a loyal player. And I think when he has an alliance and when he gives his word to someone, with probably literally only Lydia as the exception because he could see how much of a challenge threat she was, he protects his alliance. If people are willing to work with him and be loyal to him and give them their word, I think he really is the type of player that will uphold that. And I think hopefully David did take that into consideration. And if he did do that, then, it does minimize the risk of working with Matt a bit. And especially if he sort of got to know Matt pre-season and got a feel for, the type of person that he is pre-game, it could be a more, calculated move than just going to some random player that you've never met and trying to, make this kind of plan work. But yeah, I do think at least for a couple more episodes, maybe there won't be too much of a blowback on David for the move, because I think it is still in Matt's benefit since he's still down in numbers to work with David.
I agree.
Yeah, because if he votes David out, sure, David's alliance will probably go along with that. But after they get David out, they're just going to start picking off Matt's alliance again.
Yeah.
Okay, for David to be a player with no idol and to know that idols are out there and to be able to know exactly where both the idols in his tribe were and to flush both of them and have the exact player voted out that he said he want voted out, that is really impressive. And he really considered, every single piece of the puzzle and put it all into place. And I thought that was really masterful. Yeah. And I think while, yes, it is like a lot of really active gameplay for the beginning of Australian Survivor, which typically, people do better in being passive and, being under the radar and kind of like skating through those first few tribal councils without having any attention on themselves. I think, yeah, you know, obviously David didn't do that. And that's been like a proven good strategy for Australian Survivor. But at the same time, I think knowing that that Matt had an idol, and if he had chosen to just play passive and think, Matt won't idle me out, he'll idle out someone in my alliance, that's also a really big risk to him. And I think, like, you know, actively taking charge of the move and taking control of the game in that way and making that move, he avoided that risk of going out and having been a passive player and not done anything about the fact that he can go out is kind of a good move in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I totally see where you're coming from, and it was pretty much like a mirror image of Kelly Kim's move from Island of the Idols, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But I still think it was just a bit of big move-itis. I think that David, he didn't need to protect himself at this point because he's been playing such a good social game, and yes, he's a big threat, but they don't want to get rid of him due to talent strengths. You know, Matt's vocalized that many times that
that's true.
He wants to keep talent strengths around. And as well, Matt on his season, you know, he was so loyal to his alliances and he had such a vice grip on the game. He was never in the minority. You know, he was in the majority for every single vote until he got voted out. And he was the godfather because he just kept everyone in line so good. He was just so good at staying ahead and running it from the top. But we've never seen him have to be scrappy before. You know, we don't know if he's going to be the kind of player that's going to just really go for the jugular if he's on the bottom. So I think that might be the kind of player we're going to see. I think he will be a lot more cutthroat knowing that he's not in total control and that there's other alphas out there that's really got the game in a vice grip. So I think that's pretty interesting to see what he does, even though he's still on the bottom. But I agree that he's going to leverage that relationship a bit more until he can get
definitely
better footing in the game.
Yeah, it's so fun playing, like watching him play from the bottom. And
I agree. I'm really liking it.
Yeah, so much funner to root for as well as like a player that has to be scrambling and actually, you know, actively trying to make moves and work with people from the bottom instead of, you know, just being at the top dictating everything. He is definitely already, like episode 1, a much more enjoyable player to watch. Like, but even just entertainment value this season, I reckon.
Yeah.
And so back to David's move. Like, there were definitely a few concerns that I had with it. One, I think it's never a good idea to throw your own name out there. Like, I think his name was not brought up at all. He didn't need to do that. There were definitely other ways he could have flushed the idol, you know? He could have said to Matt, target Lockie or target Brooke. Like, make it sound like you're going to vote for one of them and get them to play the idol on themselves and actually vote Daisy out. He didn't have to, like, possibly reflect that vote onto himself. That was really dangerous and that was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah. I think it's so much easier for people to say names that have already been thrown out as well. Once the name's out there, it's impossible to make it go away. So I think it was a really risky move from his part. Yeah. Can we go to the immunity challenge? Because
we're just jumping around here.
It was a lot. Another huge physical challenge. I really liked it though. I like the idea of the ball. A weird ball, but like still really cool.
Yeah.
Tarzan's a beast.
Oh, yeah. Where was Tarzan in this episode? Like in this strategy, he was non-existent.
If I was in the water and I saw Tarzan coming towards me, I would shit my pants. He just, what a beast.
Yeah, and Lockie just playing whack-a-mole with like Harry and Nick, just like pushing them in the water.
Poor Nick, he's getting his old, but it's just, it's not good. But Shawnee walking away with the sword.
Yeah.
Everything we needed.
Apparently, she like played against Moana or something, and
Yeah.
like completely like smashed her, and that was why she got the sword at the end.
Yeah. I wish they would have shown that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the idol after.
Oh, the idol handover.
Oh, it
That
was a lot. If
yeah.
it wasn't an idol handover, it should not have been on primetime TV.
Oh,
It
honestly,
was so sad.
after the challenge, I was like, oh, cool, they won. Looked away at my phone for a second, looked back at the screen. I was like, what is going on? What?
and real close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this does not look appropriate at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious to watch.
It was.
Not subtle at all, but I feel like that's Henry's gameplay. He's just not a very subtle player.
No, I mean, they definitely could have made it more subtle, but I want to know, we'll just get this out of the way, but is Henry in trouble? Do you think his tribe mates saw him do this and they're going to be like, what the hell, Zenhen? What are you doing? What did you give to Matt? How did you find this? Blah, blah, blah. Do you think he's going to be in hot water after this?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they didn't really show any reactions, did they? But then
no, I saw that when AK looked over, I think he was talking to Michelle and she was looking over as well. So I think that their tribe, I'm sure one of them at least would have seen it. And especially all the Harry Henry kind of rivalry we're seeing, I think he could be in a bit of doo-doo.
Yeah, I think even just coming back from the Shane Gould vote last Monday, this Monday, they would have known that Henry was for some reason scrambling to go against the majority, and they would have seen that 3 people voted for Harry, 2 of which are still in the game. Sean seems to have integrated herself pretty well back with the majority, but he's always got to do his own thing.
Yeah.
And obviously in his first season that didn't work out too well for him. So I don't know. I kind of feel like he's still playing the same game that he played in season 2. So
yeah, I'm scared for Zenhen. I think his professional way, he was like, the only thing I did wrong was not playing the idol. I'm like, really? Are you sure?
Yeah.
So I love him to bits.
When you didn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, he's entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
But I think, another case of just big movitis. But, I mean, he has all the potential to do insanely well. It's like so many of these players.
Yeah.
So maybe they just need a wake-up moment or just something to kick them into gear and just kind of settle a bit and make some really smart moves.
Yeah.
But they're like, we're here for All-Stars. Everyone's going to be playing this hard. Why not?
Yeah. And oh, something else that was really poetic. So Henry and Jackie, he swapped over to the other tribe in season 2, took the idol, which kind of led to Jackie's downfall. And this season, his idol that he gives to Matt ends up saving Jackie. So they've really come full circle.
It is the circle of Survivor life.
Yeah.
They are very poetic.
Yeah. There's so many callbacks. Like, you can't write this shit.
No, it's so good. We're only 1 week in. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Henry is very much same thing as David, like you said, big movitis, except I think David has made improvements to his game, whereas Henry, now he's so focused on the fact that he was voted out with an idol that's the only mistake that he seems to think he's made. And so maybe now he's kind of trying to go even bigger with the idols, and he's like, I got to use this, I got to give it to Matt in front of everybody. And I do think the move of giving Matt the idol was the right move. Yeah. It's a shame he couldn't have done it more inconspicuously, but I think that if he dogs Matt and doesn't give him the idol, that's True.
That's a real breach of trust there. And I think giving him the idol has secured him a really solid ally in the future if they're on a swap tribe or the merge or whatever. I think that they're definitely going to be working together, and Matt kind of owes him a lot, and I think that kind of secured an ally for the future. So good move for him.
It does help him get more information from the game because he gave Matt the idol. So you think if he ever links up with Matt again, Matt's gonna tell him what happened with that, like who he played the idol on, like what ended up going on in that tribal council, and then you'd find out, where the alliances are, who's working with who. So could work well for him down the line. But the thing with Henry is I don't think he thinks through his strategy that much. I think he sort of thinks, this will be a cool big move. I'm just going to do it. It'll make for great TV. Or it'll shock some players and viewers, and he just does it. Whereas I feel like David, on the other hand, does, think through a lot more layers than that. Because you don't really hear Henry vocalizing his strategy. You sort of just mostly hear about him talking about the moves he's going to make and like what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I think Henry is the kind of player that really wants just pure chaos.
Yeah.
But especially in season 2, like there wasn't that much chaos. It was a pretty, not cut and dry, but it wasn't much flipping going on. It was very kind of numbers and alliance based.
Yeah.
And David, I think, because he's so used to playing from the bottom, he has to make chaos.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's used to, and I think they're kind of struggling with the different game styles of everyone else. I mean, Henry he should have more success this time because I feel like people will want chaos as well. But I think maybe David could be struggling to just settling down and, not flying by the seat of his pants and just trusting in his alliance, because he's been burnt by that before and he's never really had that security blanket, so he doesn't know what it feels like.
Yeah, well, okay, David has played from the majority, though.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean,
but
surely.
That's the point, actually. Has Henry played from the bottom? Not really.
Well, I'm just trying to think.
He did when he swapped over to the other tribe.
Yeah, but he did that. He made that.
He was supposed to do that. He wasn't, forced to swap,
No, he volunteered to be the bottom.
So, I don't think Henry's a player that's really experienced being, forced into a minority and having alliance work against you. He's always sort of manufactured those situations for himself. So it could be interesting. And, maybe then he'll actually have to scramble and actually have to, bring back the, chaotic moves a bit and do something more planned out and methodical. Yeah.
I mean, we know he's really good at, dealing with people and getting numbers together. We know he's really good at that. So if he can just kind of settle down and do that and make the right decisions, maybe try and put the target on someone else, I think, there's no reason why he can't be good for the long run.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think Phoebe will see through yet another male model's shadiness?
Oh, it's so hard to tell what the other players are thinking, because this episode was so, David-centric and Matt-centric. We never really heard from what the other players, apart from maybe Daisy, what they were thinking. So I would hope that she could see through it, or at least, keep an eye on him and be a bit sus. But, it's hard to say. What do you think?
I think, so I realised she sort of had to deal with this with Rohan in her first season.
Yeah.
Obviously, David's on a bit more of a higher strategic level, but look, Phoebe's had a lot of time to think.
Oh, yeah.
She's, getting a lot better luck this season with, her tribe, the challenges, the weather. So I don't know. I think if anyone's gonna see through David's game first, it might be Phoebe.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. Yeah. That'll be good to see. The idol search.
Oh, Brooke.
What? Yeah, Brooke. Was that one of the shortest idol holdings we've ever had in Survivor? That was like hours.
Yeah, true. I mean, there was Shane when her idol got flushed in season 2. But I mean, obviously they don't show us exactly how long before Tribal they found the idols, but that would have, that was a pretty short stint. Do you think Brooke should have told her whole alliance that she found the idol?
Yeah, well, I was just about to ask because she found it with Lockie and Flick.
Yeah.
I think. See, it's really hard because I feel like if there was any two people from that alliance that she could
trust
keep the secret with, it would be those two.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It did look like where they found it was kind of close to camp. But I don't know if they were just scared that people saw them. But yeah, I'm still on the fence about whether it's a good move. But I mean, again, it's early days. She's clearly playing the alliance game.
Yeah, which is a similar game to what she played the first season.
Yeah, and it got her really far. She doesn't want to rock the boat. She doesn't want to be caught out for being selfish.
I mean, they played it off really well. You know, when Brooke walked past Tarzan and she was like, "Oh, you find anything, Tarzan?" With 4, I think nobody would have questioned that. Like, I think they could have gotten away with not telling the rest of their alliance, and then David wouldn't have known to flush it.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it does build a lot of trust for that alliance. It's just a bit unlucky for them that they've let David into the alliance, and he's probably the least trustworthy person on that tribe at the moment. Like, and that's a tribe with AK, and like, who else? Flick.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I mean. And then the idol plays themselves, the tribal. Well, let's talk about tribal council, like the actual tribal.
Oh, yeah.
Matt played it brilliantly. Yeah, I think I was kind of scared that he was going to be a bit like stiff, I guess is the word. You know, wasn't going to do it well. He did exactly what he needed to do. He nailed it. Give him the Oscar, you know?
Yeah, he was so convincing. I started getting worried that he was actually starting to get annoyed with David. And when he said, like, I'm playing the idol on myself, I was like, no.
Yeah, I almost out. That was...
I was like, come on, have you learnt nothing? And then I thought that was like a really good subtle move as well from him. Because having that fake out, you know, lets them use that as an excuse to maybe say, I wanted to see your reaction. I wanted to see if you guys did actually put your votes on me. And then when he said, actually, I'll play it for Jackie, and Flick, like, put her head in her hands, like, that would have been a massive tell. And he can say, look, I saw you guys react, and that's how I knew. And it covers David as well.
Yeah, so clearly he's doing that on purpose. So he does have plans to work with David long term if he can. So yeah, I think he played that really well. David's shocked face at the Daisy.
Shocked me too.
If I saw that, I'd be like, that's clearly an overreaction. It was just almost comical.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I mean, at Tribal Council, they seem to have bought it with, you know, Flick being like, we've got to be smarter than this, guys.
Yeah.
You know, addressing all of them. It's like, it didn't seem like anyone was too sus about David. Like, they all did have pretty, you know, outward reactions to it.
Yeah.
But obviously, maybe the edit is kind of protecting David a bit because they don't want, you know, this epic move to happen and just be like, oh, but they all knew it was David.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect any of them to know at this point that it was him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're going to be, because it was really well hidden, you know, it's really well played off, and they don't have a reason to think that Matt and David will be buddies.
Yeah.
But I'm just, concerned about later. That's what I'm worried about, because they will find out.
Yeah, I think if David, you know, tones it down a bit, kind of leans into his alliance a bit more, maybe, you know, he could play it off, and then he could potentially, you know, come back to Matt later and keep working through that alliance to save himself if he ever needs to. But he has put himself in a bit of a tricky position because now, you know, Matt's still in the majority. Obviously, Matt was okay with voting out Daisy, who wasn't in his alliance. But next vote, is David going to want to give up another person in his alliance and almost even up the numbers? Or is he going to force Matt to vote out one of his own people, which he's obviously not going to be happy about, and he might try to fight against it?
Yeah. Do you think that now that David's gotten the Daisy kill, that he's going to go after Matt next? Do you think he wants to cut off Matt and, you know, kind of clear the tracks completely?
Honestly, I think that would be a bad move.
Yeah. But he's still in the majority. No one knows that, you know, he's masterminded this self-vote out.
I think the point of this move and having it so early is, you know, having that long-term plan for the threats to protect each other. And David, if, say, his alliance does great, they, like, wipe everyone out and they're the final 7, it's only a matter of time before David gets voted out. There's no way they're letting David get to the end.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think players like David, like Matt, like maybe even Lockie, like Harry, Nick, they need to play with each other. Like, they need, like, sorry, I don't know why I just said all the men, probably because we haven't been shown enough of the women. But, you know, even like Phoebe, like Michelle, Sean, they need each other as, like, big, threatening, strategic players to get to the end. If they hurdle the goats to the end, the goats are going to outnumber them and realize, hey, we don't want to sit next to him. And yeah, I think, obviously David, you know, put Daisy out there as like a revenge vote out. But I think part of it also was he doesn't want the goats to get too far and take a spot in the final 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's a valid, you know, strategy.
Yeah.
Especially for a player like him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The problem is you don't want to be the big threat in the group of big threats.
Yeah, true.
That's kind of what he's setting himself up to. Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's way too early for this kind of move. And as masterfully as it was done, you know, it's just a 1 in a million shot that it goes unnoticed and that he completely covers his tracks.
Yes. There's still so many other factors that we have to see play out before we can truly see if it's a legendary status move or just a great move in itself. I think just this episode, like, the move in itself was amazing. Everything happened the way it had to happen for it to work out, and that's great. It was a great move on its own, but like in the grand scheme of things, in the long game, as Daisy did,
in a 50-day game of Australian Survivor,
it's too soon to tell. Maybe too soon for the move.
Yes, and to all the Survivor Facebook fans, Dave's not the best player that's ever lived. To the article that said he's better than Boston Rob, I doubt it. We can't say that yet after a move on day 7. Like, let's just set away expectations and see how it goes, because it's, I don't know. I mean, like, this move deserves the hype because it was so just well executed, but you can't compare the move to a legacy. And you just can't say a move on day 7 makes you a good player, because by definition that makes you not a good player, because you likely won't last.
And I mean, say hypothetically, David goes on to win the game somehow. We'd probably look back on it and be like, this was like a moment in Survivor history that like is on par with like Russell finding the idol, Parvati's double idol play. But right now, it might just be like a bomb that fizzles out, and it was a great move, but it didn't really amount to much. And I think, we've got to see it play out first before we can fully rate it.
Is David our version of Tony? Are we seeing a Tony Kagayan game going on here, where he digs himself in so many holes and then digs himself out over and over again?
Possibly.
Somehow, against all odds, just kills it.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's day 3. It's too to tell.
First week. Can't believe it. Yeah.
I mean, Tony did that in his first game.
Yeah. Second game, he didn't even get to day. Didn't even make day 7.
Yeah. It's a really different game, though. Like, Australian Survivor. Look, like, to Daisy's credit, she made some good points in that tribal council where, she said to Matt, you got to get to the long game first before you start, making all these big moves, switching things up, like turning on your alliance. And that's totally valid.
Yeah. And it is a bit condescending to say from the majority.
Yeah, she didn't really help her case. But
no.
Look, it was a valid point. Like, I think that's, to many people, and like rightly so, how you should play Australian Survivor, at least the way that it is now.
Yeah.
I've got another question while we're on the topic of Daisy. Do you think there was anything she could have done to avoid being voted out?
That's really interesting. I mean, she could have tried to instill more trust with the relationship with David.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really only where she went wrong. I mean, she was ride or die with Lockie. She was really close with Brooke, tight with Flick and Phoebe. So she was doing all the right things. It's because like the other alliance didn't want to target Daisy. Like no one wanted to target Daisy except for David.
Of course.
The only problem was David. So, and they didn't have that long between their season and All Stars filming. So she says there wasn't a chance to, catch up and really like properly reconcile. But I mean, what more are you meant to do apart from, say, you can trust me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Well, she was the vote last episode as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
She was alternate. So I don't know if maybe there was something more she could have done socially. I've read a bit from like Moana's Instagram why she kept writing salty next to Daisy's name.
Because of the rice, was it?
Yeah, because they would argue about, or Jackie always wanted to put salt water in the rice, and Daisy really controlled the cooking and didn't want to put salt in the rice for some reason.
Salt's great.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's just like secondhand account. Well, first-hand accounts, but like second-hand reading it from social media, so we can't say for sure. And I mean, from Daisy's exit interview, I think she had that same issue in her first season with one of the other women on her tribe.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, maybe she could have put
Sam?
salt on the rice.
Yeah.
But, in that vein, like, just be a bit more agreeable, like, socialize with not just your alliance, but everyone else as well, because if they're gonna somehow pull off a flip on your alliance, they need someone to target and you don't want it to be you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, she was in a tricky spot though.
Yeah,
I mean, she certainly wasn't expecting this kind of thing to happen. So yeah, I mean, complete blindside clearly.
Yeah, she seemed to take it really hard, which is really sad. It would suck, you know.
It would.
To go from one season where you lost the Exile Challenge, the Exile Island Challenge.
Yeah.
Like to have hope that maybe you'll get into the game, and then just lose like that after and it was such a long challenge against Simon. He ended up winning, and then coming into another game, being there for 7 days and just getting completely blindsided like that.
Yeah, sounds like a lot. So overall, your best and worst for this episode?
Okay. I want to say David for best, but all things considered, there's still too many moving pieces, and to be honest, I think Matt comes out of this the best. So I'm going to have to say Matt. He played everything perfectly, you know, even David coming up to him, which was technically kind of out of his control, but he had to put himself out there to be approachable, to be someone that David could feel like he could come up to. So I think, honestly, Matt did so many things right. He's probably in the best position right now. He's got this thing going on with David that could get him really far in the game. If David does try to turn on him, he can use that as ammunition against David. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I think
he's found himself in a power position from nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's got so many options moving forward. He wasn't the target. He's able to put the target on someone else.
Yeah.
His alliance didn't go home. His alliance, trusts him even more now that he's shown that he's willing to play an idol for them. I think he just absolutely killed it this episode, and he's really shown to be a strategic force that we didn't kind of see in his first season because he was just so in control. And I think it's really interesting to see what he'll do. And I think, he was definitely the player of the episode because he got all the benefits and really no negatives.
Yeah.
And David, potentially could find himself in a bit of hot water. And it's day 7.
Yeah.
What about your worst player?
Worst player. That's a bit hard.
I think I toss and turn with this one as well because we did see so much of Matt and David that we didn't really see the rest. But I think just for the idol misplay, Brooke, I mean, yes, she found an idol, but then she used it hours later.
Yeah.
I think it was a good move to show the whole alliance, maybe, but I think just misreading the play, which again wasn't her fault, but I mean, we haven't been shown anything else from the others, so I guess have to give it to her by default.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm bad about that. But...
Oh, someone else from the other tribe, if I had to say, maybe Henry. I don't think he's really doing himself any favors.
Okay.
I think, the idol handoff wasn't great and could have potentially just put more of a target on his back, considering that there already is one. He didn't really need that extra heat on him. And if his tribe does go to tribal council, I can see him being in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah. Worried for Zenhen, for sure. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to add? We've been going for over an hour and a half now.
Whoa.
An hour. Everything there is to cover.
Yeah. I think... I think we've gone through more or less everything we have to go through.
Yeah, I like Brooke butting up to Lockie.
Yeah.
I like that she's aware that they're a thing and that she's happy to play, second fiddle and let him take all the heat. I think that's really smart. And she did say, she had a really short confession of saying, I hope I win, which I thought was really random.
Yeah.
But,
What?
Other winners at it in Australian Survivor? Who knows?
Lockie really is, being used as a shield for a lot of people right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he has to, though. Like, he can't just slide under the radar.
Yeah.
He kind of has to lean into that. And I think he's doing a good job so far. He's really ingratiated himself with his alliance with the tribe. So, no one's really thrown out his name yet, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one last thing that's a bit out of nowhere, but I don't remember where I saw this. So I would not quote me on this or take it as like a fact or anything. But I really remember seeing somewhere a rumor about there potentially being a showmance between Lockie and Brooke.
I also saw that, and I'm pretty sure they're together.
Really? Yeah, and I can see hints in the edit already.
Yeah.
Like, having that in the back of my head, I'm noticing things that I'm like, this is foreshadowing.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's a power couple. That's like
both challenge beasts.
Yeah, geez, okay. Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, that's one to watch out for.
Yeah. Your predictions for next episode. Who do you think's up shit creek?
Oh, okay. Henry.
Yeah, I agree.
Potentially David. I kind of think, despite Moana's edit, I don't know, just that comment on her Instagram, maybe a bit of a spoiler, but I can't see why she would write, like the good things are still yet to come.
Maybe all of her friends are just like, Mo, why are we watching? You're not even on this. And she's just trying to make her friends watch.
Yeah, true. But, I mean, judging by the edit and, like, what they've shown of her, I'd say maybe she's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think a tribe swap's coming pretty soon?
Oh.
I just thought of that, and I was like, it is All-Stars. I feel like, we're used to having, 5 or 6 votes before a swap. But I think, there'll be 2 swaps in All-Stars, you'd think.
Yeah.
I guess, sure, but I reckon a swap will be coming soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, maybe if not at the end of next week, probably definitely the week after.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That could really shake things up.
That could. It'd be really interesting to see how it plays out. I'm excited. Yeah. It's been a long first week, I tell you what.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Getting back on the horse, 3 episodes a week, and then next week, Winners at War, of course.
Oh. Hi.
It's just going to be a lot of Survivor.
Yeah. Side topic. Have you seen the 5-minute preview for Winners at War?
I got home, crawled in bed last night, and that was the only thing I did, and then I went straight to sleep.
I just watched
this quote about burning houses down, put that on my tombstone. Like that's, I'm so excited to see them all again. Yeah. And all of them falling off the boat.
Oh my god! What a great start! Like,
it was great. I'm really excited. So. Yeah, maybe we'll have a quick 5-minute chat about that next week.
Yeah, it's going to be like Australian Survivor, Feet, Winners at War premiere.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, it will be. We'll be here till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you guys want to follow the podcast on YouTube, we're the Super Reality Family. Yeah. On Patreon as well. And then our Twitter is at Super Reality Fam. And yeah, just follow us there if you want to see more updates. There'll be Winners at War content, some of our American Podcasters are going to do some content there. Maybe we'll feature on that at some point. We'd love to chat about it. And yeah, we'll try and keep up with the Australian Survivor episodes. Obviously, it's hard doing 3 a week, but we do what we can. And yeah, if you want to follow us on socials, my Twitter's Shawnee_sheep. I just posted a really hot take about artichokes. So if you're looking for like fire content, look me up.
I definitely check his Twitter out. Sean posts things, unlike me. Yeah. But if you want to follow my Twitter for any reason, I'm at Ellonyx, which is ELLEONYX_ because that was taken. It's just my username that I use for everything. I'll maybe try to use it a bit more. So yeah, if you want to chat with us, chat with us.
Yeah.
We're always happy to talk about Survivor.
Yes. I want to be tweeted all the hot takes. I don't know if I spelled mine. It's SEANY_sheep.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if people think that's obvious, but yeah, anyway, just thought I would. So yeah, is there anything else you want to add before?
No, I think we've covered about most of it.
Yeah, I reckon so. I mean, hour and 40 minutes in, I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah.
I will be looking out for AK's Bachelor series. That's all I need.
I know.
One more thing. You need to go on 10play and look at the extended tribal council scene. They showed of episode 3. They showed all of the players' voting confessionals.
Oh, I haven't even watched that yet, but I need to.
Incredible. I don't want to spoil it, but it was pure poetry.
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
Check that out.
Cool.
So,
all right. Well,
we'll catch you all later.
Yeah, we'll see everyone next week. If there's anything we missed or that people want to hear us talk about or debate or argue with us about, let us know. We've given you all the avenues you need to. Yeah. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.